Commence primary ignition.
Hey there friends, fans, and collectors. Welcome to another episode of Binary Sunset Review. Today we're taking a look at the Target exclusive vintage comic art Boba Fett. Let's get going.
Put Captain Solo in the cargo hold.
Now this is a Target exclusive. This is the second of the third summer releases that we pre-ordered, or if you were lucky enough to pre-order over a year ago, these went up. They are finally arriving on shelves. They were street dated July 27th, and they are non-register locked as of now. That is the third repaint of the famous Boba Fett model that we know and love. This figure, of course, is based off the Empire Strikes Back model. This does include his pistol, which we haven't seen in a long time, and I'm not quite sure if it's still the exact model as was seen in Return of the Jedi. That model had very good articulation and was a great update. The big deal for this figure was the limited release paint job and of course the exclusive card back that did have one of his appearances in the actual comics in between Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back. Now there were some great stories and plot lines in ephemera and in novels that starred Fett. That's where he got a lot of his fandom. It's great to see a vintage collection figure that's paying homage to that legend that is Fett. Now this figure was a Target exclusive. It is the second of 3 different Target exclusive Boba Fett repaints that we are seeing this summer. If you were lucky enough to pre-order these figures, the pre-orders went up over a year ago, so we have been waiting a long time to see these figures, to get them in our hands. The street date finally had them unregister locked the other day at July 27th, and now you can find them in Target stores if you have the DPCI code. I will of course be listing the DPCI code below. I hope this assists you on your hunt as you're out there trying to get a Fett of your own. Now storefronts like to have exclusives that go in tandem with convention season, and we are pretty much in the dead center of convention season right now. Following San Diego Comic-Con, these were unregister locked. These restocks and having these exclusives hit shelves at certain times do come in tandem with convention season. Storefronts like to be involved in the collector game, and it's interesting that we continue to see this pattern with vintage collection figures and Star Wars merchandise. This also comes with an exclusive card back that depicts the comic book Boba Fett. So there were a lot of plot lines, a lot of ephemera, a lot of comic books and books themselves that forwarded the storyline in between Star Wars and an Empire Strikes Back. Another point that makes this figure special is the first time we're seeing Boba Fett with his pistol in several years. Now he normally has his pistol in storyline, but it's been missing from the figures, especially all of these Return of the Jedi remodeled reprints we've been seeing for the past 2 years. Here we have the front of the card back. We can see the unique image that is celebrating the vintage comic book stories that really delve deeper into Boba Fett as a character and gave him a lot of his fan base there in history. We get the Empire Strikes Back there at the top, in the middle of the Star Wars piping. We have the Kenner logo on the bottom, and of course we have this nice unique baby blue shade for the pillbox and for the background of the character. We can also see the other figures offered in this line. Now this comes right between 2 different lines here. We have a bunch of the 40th anniversary of Return of the Jedi reprints, as well as the Hunter and Darth Vader 2 waves. These Boba Fett and ARC Trooper repaints fit nicely into our VC list here of annual numbered figures. We also see the Hasbro and Disney logo there, under the Vintage Collection logo in a bunch of legalese. But let's get this guy out of package. Let's free him. Here we are opening the package. Now I haven't shown this for a while, but there's a very delicate and awesome way you can do to open a package. And if you gently insert a knife right there. Comes right off. Preserved card back. Here we have first impressions of our Boba Fett Vintage Comic Art Edition. And just the paint job on this guy It is so unique. It is so different. It is so great to see Boba in this kind of different shade. It's just really fun to have a merge of the Empire Strikes Back weaponry and look to him, but with the Return of the Jedi mold and the better sculpting that we all loved. See, we got a very dominant green and red shade there. We got a nice little baby blue and white jetpack, and his pistol returns for the first time, and it's also got this nice little baby blue shade. Here we have a great look at the unique painting and detail that is with this vintage comic art Fett, and just the helmet and the painting, it's just they really did mirror the actual comic, and you can see it in the card back here, so you can even see the glare on the helmet dent, and then the eye visor there. It exactly mimics the card back here, which is from the actual comic itself, which depicts that same glare and that same little bump. But really nice to see that kind of level of detail, what we expect from the vintage collection. But we got a great unique painting. He's got a unique set of stripes on his gloves here, which is pretty cool. Of course, we have the mythosaur on his shoulder there, but great shot of it. I'm just really pleased with these repaints. Each of these repaints has a story and a history behind them, and it's just great that this extra added detail adds to that bonus. Here we have a look at the accessories that come with our vintage comic art Boba Fett. We have the nice baby blue and white jetpack there to the left. We also have his E3 rifle and his blaster pistol, first time seen in a while. Now these are uniquely painted to also match the comic art there. The E3 is purple as a purple shade, and again with more of the baby blue, this pistol is this nice blue shade. These weapons are the exact same molds that we saw with our Empire Strikes Back Boba Fett. As we can see right here, these are stylized and colored differently, whereas the Empire Strikes Back versions were made to look more realistically painted. And it's nice to see the comparison and the evolution of these weapons on the new Boba Fett mold. Boba comes with 17 points of articulation, just like our previous Fetts. That includes 2 in the head, shoulder joints that tee on out. We have elbow joints, wrist joints, hip joints as well. We have thighs that swivel out as well as leg joints. We have butterfly knees. We also have ankle joints and rocker ankles. This is a really well designed, highly articulated figure. A huge improvement from our previous Empire Strikes Back Boba Fett. Here we have all of the Fetts that are in the vintage collection. We have seen so many different iterations of this figure, but they really do all have a different story and history behind them. Many similar molds, all very different, unique paint styles. We have our Target exclusive vintage comic art there in the center, looking very colorful. Our 3 Target exclusives that we have so far also join him on the right. So many different eclectic collections of Fetts, all on the vintage collection. It's honestly great to keep adding more to our collection. I would certainly recommend this figure. It's great to see this new exclusive card back. It's also great to have an update to the Empire Strikes Back mold of Boba Fett and see some newly colored weapons we haven't seen in quite some time. It's definitely nice to finally see this figure on shelves. We pre-ordered this, if you were lucky enough to pre-order this, over a year ago, so it's long overdue to be finally in our hands. These figures were found on shelves by collectors out there. I do believe we're going to be repeating the pattern with the Kenner paint Boba Fett, where they show up on shelves and we might be seeing some pre-orders canceled. I hope this pattern doesn't continue, and time will have to tell to see if those who pre-ordered these Fetts will actually have them delivered to them. The color scheme is great, it's unique, it's really amazing to pay homage to the legendary character that is Boba Fett from the comics. Thanks for watching another episode of Binary Sunset Review. As always, I've been Mike. Your likes and your views are greatly appreciated. Let me know what you think of this Boba Fett, all these repaints, and if you actually got your hands on these figures. I'll leave a DPCI code below, as I said, and I hope this helps you on your hunt. Have a great day out there, stay hydrated, stay safe, stay sane, and remember, the Force will be with you, always.
I'm just a simple man trying to make my way in the universe.